The build show today with my buddy Brent. Brent, this house, man, this is a gorgeous house, y'all. We're gonna take a little tour of Brent. We're gonna show you a couple details that I think are spectacular, and we're gonna give you some wisdom from this wise builder right here. So today's build show with Brent Hull up here in Fort Worth. Let's get going. All right, Brent, we got a beautiful cut stone exterior. Look at those beautiful rafter tails, or I guess those are corbels, not rafter tails. Slate roof. Give us a couple of the exterior details over here, buddy.
So we've got stucco on block on either side. It's a very symmetrical house, or it's meant to be. And so in this main block that's raised up, you see the ridge, the eave line is a little bit kicked up, and that's where you're seeing those rafter tails, you know, modillions, corbels, kind of pieces coming through there. And then we've got a cut stone face. And what we did was we built this sample up here where we're actually showing different types of tooling so that each piece of stone is kind of looks like it's been quarried a long time ago. So you have, you know, a hammer kind of mark here, a deeper mark in this one, kind of a cutting mark on some of these that show different kind of stone treatment and detail. And that's really in this center block, which is meant to be, we try to do a narrative of the building, its oldest piece. And so these wings would have been added on later. So this is kind of that central piece. So you've got cut stone, we've got a water table that's cleaner on the bottom. We have coining details on the outside. That's where that old stone wall would have been tied together. And
Brent, you mentioned this is stucco on block that we're seeing out front here. Is that right?
Yeah.
What's the big reason to use block before your stucco?
Well, we used to just put our stucco on a metal lath right on the zip board. Yep. But we found that over time it cracked a lot, and then we had one job where it just, you know, it didn't perform very well. It wasn't long lasting. So an architect in Dallas showed me that, you know, what they did is they did block stucco on the block, which created an air gap. You had the stucco moving at the same speed as the stucco, and so
do you have anyone in this job who can see that?
Yeah, we got some in the back.
Oh, cool. Let's go take a look.
Yeah.
All right. Oh my gosh, Brent! Look at this pool area. Wow.
So this is this will be kind of a great kind of outdoor living room. There's going to be these stone arches, which will frame this opening here. We've got these tremendous timbers above that have been tied in, you know, supported on steel, and then, you know, tied together to make it look like a real timber framed, you know, exterior. So
and Brent, you did a fantastic episode on Build Show Network on these timbers and a bunch of the details in the back porch. So make sure you go over to buildshowNetwork.com to check out Brent's videos there. But I want to get into a couple of details on this Cmu Stucco, because I've not seen this detail before, and I really like this. So tell me a little bit more about this.
Well,
we're seeing this is just a thin CMU, right?
Yeah, it's a 4-inch CMU block. You see our zip and our so we're still using a zip board with, you know, the zip tape behind there.
And then you've got an air gap, it looks like, right?
We've got a 1-inch air gap. And then, of course, what we're allowing for, the reason for this gap is we're allowing the stucco to wrap in behind here.
Gotcha.
So then they'll wire lath these corners and the edges and all the connections, and then they'll stucco right on top of this. And you'll see a little bit about that back there.
Very cool. So what is this gray trim that I'm seeing here?
So these doors came from our shop, and it's you see it a little bit better right here, where we make all our exterior doors out of sapele and our doors out of sapele, and now they're just primed gray is what they've done here. But this is all, our sills will be oak, but all the doors and all the other components, anything that's exterior, we're using sapele because we find that it just lasts forever. And so
sapele, I have heard called an African mahogany. Is that correct?
It is. There's a few of them. Spanish cedar's a little bit like that. Sapele's a little bit like that. Sapele is a denser straighter wood, so Spanish cedar's softer.
Okay.
So we found that this is for millwork, tends to be a much better, holds paint better.
It's going to probably have a crisper edge on
It has
your,
a crisper edge. It doesn't
on your
dent.
millwork.
You know, Spanish cedar can actually dent, and so Spanish cedar can actually be a little bit too oily, and so paint doesn't stick to it as well.
Interesting.
And so anyway, we've had great success with this wood.
So what you're seeing here then is this is raw wood. This has been primed. So the painters will come in and prime this jamb.
Yep.
But because this is wrapping around, it's probably been pre-primed.
Correct.
And that way it's primed all the way into the backside here. That's really cool, Brent. Very smart. It feels like your guys have wrapped the zip tape. Probably can't see that on the video very well.
Right onto the back.
Right onto the back side of that too, to prevent moisture from touching that sapele long term. Because even though it's a really durable wood, anything you can do to keep it dry means that it's going to last for the next 300 years.
Exactly.
Now tell me about oak sills. You don't see those very often anymore, but that's a very traditional detail to see an oak sill, right?
Yeah, so it's all white oak. White oak really performs really well in the exterior. We just find that they last a long time. We would rather have a oak sill and even a painted oak sill rather than brass or some kind of metal. It seems richer to us. Maybe because it's an historical detail, but all our sills are an oak sill.
That's beautiful. And look how thick it is too. That is a thick sill right there.
We do it all with 8/4 and then pitch it out. And there will be stone on top of this, so the stone will come right up underneath that and support that really well.
Okay, on the edge of your sill.
This will all be floated with stone. It'll come right up under here.
Gotcha. I mean, that's really pretty. Is there somewhere we could see? Have you guys started stucco anywhere that we can take a look at that?
Right back here, we'll see where kind of you wrap that corner, and you'll see some of the stucco.
Because I would think that you might need to use expanded wire lath on the entire face of the block, but that's not the case, huh, Brent?
Well, you'll see that there's a special wire lath they'll do on corners, but then on the course of the body of it, we're just nailing wire right to the face of the block to create that adhesion.
Okay, so here's a corner that's been started, and you can see now this is his nice crisp corner, which is kind of like a corner bead, really.
Yeah, and you see it there at the top, and that's a channel bead, so the stucco runs right up into that channel.
Got it.
And that's what would go around doors and windows and things like that.
And so this wire lath then is
too.
Okay. Yeah, there you go. There's your weep
Right.
screed in the bottom,
Right.
and they've nailed the weep screed on, and that's going to give you a nice crisp bottom there.
Correct. Exactly.
And then this has been nailed on with some roofing nails.
Yep.
But check this out. This is where you can really see that the first coat on the stucco, the scratch coat, that's bonded really, really well, Brent. That's not going anywhere. So really, it's just, you're really using the metal just for transitions, kind of like you would with drywall.
Yeah, it creates that kind of those crisp corners and that crisp detail that, gives it sharp lines and good detail.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Now, I saw as I poked my head in here, it looked like you got some cut stone layout work happening here. What's going on here? You got pallets of stone that's cut on the outside here. And then I'm seeing some kind of layup here. What's that happening?
So there are some arches on the back of the property, back of that area we were just under, and there's these beautiful stone arches that are meant to support all that heavy timbering visually, right? And so there's actually steel bars in there that's doing it structurally. This is really a visual detail. But the shop drawings for this stonework were impressive. And you have all these different shapes, and they're all numbered and detailed. And we actually laid one out back here where we've got what's called a four-centered arch laid up, each individual stone cut, and then of course this arch laid out, which is what's going to go in between those openings. And anyway, there are cut stone pieces, right, either side, and all laid out this way. And all these pallets of cut stone are all those pieces and how they're going to come together.
Wow, that's interesting. So your mason then comes in the garage, unpalletizes everything. He's probably using the plan to lay everything up right here, so it's all on the flat. You're also building kind of a form for that arch so that when he's actually installing it, it's got some structure until everything's set on the mortar.
Correct.
And then he's laying it up right here. And then probably he's going to go out to the scaffolding and start laying piece by piece on top of this form.
Correct.
Out on the job.
Correct. Yeah, the form helps you hit all your dimensions right, because you're building up those things that need to tie together.
Yeah.
But it is a self-supporting arch, right? This really is a keystone of sorts, so that when all these pieces get laid in, you see that the angle they're laid in, that they actually support each other.
Okay, yeah, so these are actually cut at that angle, so it will support itself when it's all done.
And then this whole thing, you know, once it's mortared together, is self-supporting, so it'll last a long time.
Yeah, that's amazing.
Yeah, a lot of fun
And
details.
those pieces are heavy too, Brent, aren't they? What do you think those things weigh?
Well, I'll tell
We're
you.
gonna put your muscles to the test here, brother.
20 pounds?
20 pounds? That's
15,
not bad.
20 pounds, not too bad.
Limestone's not quite as heavy probably as a granite or something like that,
Exactly.
but not light either. Oh, and there's a I just realized too, there's an OG on this edge too, so that's why the 2x4s
Right.
individually, because it's sitting on kind of a knife edge right there. Golly.
Fun details.
And look at this, even in the garage, he's got this beautiful poplar trim. Did you mill this poplar trim and the trim that's going on in this house, Brent? Or is that's not a profile that you got off the shelf at BMC, is it?
If they do have it, I don't know about it. This is a French molding that we found in some of our books, and they're weird looking moldings, and so the French did everything different. And there's these undercuts in these things that have to be made with a special run with your knife on your shaper and on your molder. So they all have to be put together separately, but it creates a different shadow line. It's just kind of a geeky, fun thing that we do, and we milled it for the main house. We brought it out here.
And that's a 2-piece or a 1-piece?
2-piece.
Okay, yeah, that's what I thought. So this piece gets installed, and then they're putting this second back band on, or whatever it's called.
Yeah.
Let's go see what else we can see in the rest of the house, Brent.
Yeah, let's do it.
All right, Brent, what are we walking into here?
So this is a big game room in here that is we're laying out. We're trying to get the proper scale and feel. So we've got some beefy moldings going on in here. You see that we've got 1/2-inch ply, and then we've got 1-inch kind of frame material, and then a really
look how
big
thick that is.
panel mold there. If you just do like a cabinet door detail where it's just a little 3/4 inch, it doesn't give the depth or scale that's appropriate to this room. And so you see that we've got a break here where the chair rail would go.
Yep.
You know, kind of right in this area, and then we've got a pretty big base. Base is about,
That's the base right there?
that's the base.
Oh my gosh, look how thick that is, Brent.
Yeah, it's a monster. But
Wow.
if you build panels this way and then put a little 3/4 inch base on there,
It's gonna look dinky.
It's gonna look dinky. So
And then electrical wire, so I'm assuming you're gonna cut in a
we'll
box.
cut in our box.
Your
right
carpenters
into-
have boxes right there
right
ready to
into
go.
the face of that base right there.
Yep. So there's the box. They'll cut in a horizontal box.
Exactly.
And then all of your required code outlets are in there, but they're down at the base level.
Exactly. So, and then our built-up crown. So, number of different pieces there, but
A
should
big
look
crown
pretty-
for a big room. This has
Yeah.
got to be, what, a 16-foot ceiling in here, Brent?
25.
25 foot.
Yeah, it's pretty.
I was
tall.
way off.
It's bigger than that.
What? Fort Knox. All right, we're going to that in a second, but look at that fireplace.
So antique brick inside the fireplace, and then this is a custom masonry fireplace. We built it this tall. Again, we got a 25-foot ceiling. You can't have a little 3-foot fireplace in
Yep,
there. So
yep.
this is meant to match the scale of the room. But then we'll have when you do a log set in here, you almost have to do a 2 or 3 log set, because one log set just is too small. So you really need to get oversized log sets to do it when they're doing gas. But then we have a really pretty mantle going over top of this.
Wow. And your masons built this traditionally, I'm assuming, right? So this has a true clay flue in there probably all the way up.
Yep.
Pretty hard to see, but
Yeah, you got a smoke shelf and then your fireplace up there.
wow. That's amazing. Now, do you find a house like this though will draw, Brent, or are there any issues with no problems with draw?
No problems with draw.
Okay, yeah.
The fireplace, sometimes the draws, you know, that you got to get them hot. They've got to be heated, and so these are so big. The fire that you would have to have in here for it to draw. So that's why either we're doing gas log sets or we're doing a power vent on the top.
Gotcha.
But yeah, it's very hard to draw.
Yeah, in a modern house that's built well, it's really hard to draw.
So,
and I've not seen a vault door quite that big, my friend. Look at that thing.
this is a big vault door.
Holy cow.
So this is a safe room back here.
Oh my gosh, look how big this thing is, Brent.
And then we've got, you know, it's all CMU block, right? So we've got, this is basically a safe room, right? It's CMU ceiling, CMU block, CMU walls, CMU floors. And you can see a little bit of that in here. But yeah, this is there'll be a panel on the outside. You won't see that big log. So this side will be paneled. You won't see all that stuff, but you'll open up a hidden panel and then you'll be able to come into this space.
Okay, so these walls here, you can kind of see it, right? Let's see if I can, it's gonna be hard to show y'all, but you can kind of see you got block back there. And then he's got Tapcon screws right here that'll hold that door into the block about every 1 foot on center all the way around. And then, so on the outside, when you built this, Brent, these walls here were all CMU walls, I'm assuming, right? Up floor to ceiling?
Correct. And then we've skinned both sides with kind of standard 2x4 framing.
Got it.
So the inside of this thing is, and it's one of the first things we built. The foundation got put in, this block wall came up and poured concrete, CMU block.
And what did you do for this? Did you do anything special for the ceiling?
It was a poured concrete.
Okay, so it's poured concrete ceiling. Gotcha. So you got a concrete deck in there as well.
Concrete deck, exactly.
So it's basically a big old concrete room. Yeah, it's kind of neat because in effect you built a giant safe room and vault for what I would say is a pretty good budget price.
Yeah, no, it wasn't a budget breaker by any means. It's fairly inexpensive. I mean, the door, you know,
the door's as much as the concrete work,
exactly,
probably, right?
Exactly.
That door's got to be what, $7,000, $8,000, $9,000?
It was between 8 and 11. Is that
Okay.
how I remember?
So $10,000 for the door, for a giant vault door, and the plate steel on this, I don't know if you can tell, but the thickness on this is probably, you know, I don't know what that is, 3/4, 1 inch, something like that. And then you've got a giant door, and I'm sure that has that whole assembly's got a 2 or 3 or 4 hour fire rating.
Yeah, no, exactly.
If not longer, because of all the CMU block. And then the block itself and the poured concrete deck, not super expensive. So for, you know, under $20,000, I bet you've got a safe room, vault room that's giant. I mean, what size is that room in there, Brent? That's got to be 20 by 15 or something like that.
Yeah, I think it's 14 by 18.
14 by 18. I was close.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool. I like that. I'm going to use that in a future project. That's a great little, great way to do it. And then with the hidden paneling in there too, you could easily make a touch latch panel system or something so you'd never even see that door.
It'll be a pivot panel that you won't see. This is a bar, and so, you know, off this kind of game room. So it's not, you're not high. Sometimes you put safe rooms off master closets and things like that. So it's not a typical place you would look.
Yeah.
But yeah, it works.
That's really cool, Brent. All right, let's keep touring, man.
So we went up that one side. Now we're back down the other side, and this is the master wing here. So they have. This is the master suite.
Whoa.
Looking out onto that porch.
So this is just a vestibule into the master then, right? This is not actually the master.
That was the vestibule into the master.
Okay.
This is the master bedroom.
This is the master bedroom.
Yeah, and then we go through here.
Look at that beautiful fireplace down there. That's gorgeous. I like that. That's really pretty.
And then we go in here is the door to the outside.
Master bath.
This is the master bath. His, her, shower. The big tub that sits here.
Wow.
And then they've got a his, her closet. You're seeing here.
Boy, this is pretty. Look at all this gorgeous millwork in here too.
And then this was kind of a feature that what happened was we wanted the symmetry on the outside of the house. And so you have these doors that are, and then this door, they wanted their closet, but they didn't want the closet open. So we kind of created a light well for these two closets, but from the front. And we talked about putting mirrors on this. We talked about doing other things here, but this is for the visual, symmetry on the outside, but also allowing them to have this kind of hers master suite.
Smart.
Yeah, so.
I like it.
And then this is his closet, and then they've got a washer dryer that'll go here. So they'll have their own little laundry area.
That's really nice.
And so this
washer and dryer right there.
The master suite here.
I like that it's a nice scale, even though the house is quite large.
Yeah.
The master doesn't feel ginormous.
Yeah.
I would hate a 25-foot ceiling in my master.
Right.
For instance.
Exactly.
And in fact, at my personal house, I have 8-foot ceilings, and I like that kind of cozy feeling to my master.
We do too.
Man, look at all these poplar moldings, Brent. Wow.
And here you see the shape of that casing I was showing you. When that's a kind of a funky shape.
Yeah.
Right, where you've got this kind of big bulbous billection molding. You got a bead on the front, then that back band goes back here.
Yep.
So it's French, and so.
And did you mill in your shop all these moldings we're seeing here?
Yeah, so we'll custom mill all these things. There's the back band for it. So.
That's really neat.
Yeah. So.
Love it, man. Yeah. Love it.
Fun stuff.
Any other tips on millwork in terms of, where you need to pre-prime, where you don't? My assumption is these are all interior moldings, so none of these need to be pre-primed. But all your sapile on the outside you did, is that right?
Correct. It's really wood selection. We will indiscriminately use maple and poplar on inside molds. So soft maple or poplar for interior moldings. At least in Texas, we don't have the movement that you might in a more humid climate.
Yep.
So we just don't have that problem. But everything on the outside, if you don't choose the right wood and prime it, everything's back primed and primed, just won't last very long.
Yeah.
So
yeah, it's going to go away.
We have to do that.
Brent, amazing house, man.
Thank you.
Really appreciate the tour. Let me give you a compliment, brother. You know, as I look at this house as a builder, I'm thinking about when this house is done, people are going to tour this house and they're going to say to your clients, what a beautiful old home your builder restored. What year was this originally built? Don't you think that's going to happen?
Well, and that's the ultimate compliment, right? That we're trying to make things look old.
Yeah.
New old house is really what we're trying to do. So the scale of the rooms, but those details, the moldings, the trim, the stonework, we're really copying the past. And so it's awesome when someone says, how old's your house? Thinking that it's, 20, 30, 50, 100 years old.
It's a high compliment. And Brent, I would say that it's not that these materials are precious materials, right? We've got poplar and we've got sapile and we've got stone, products we've been building with for the last 200 years in America, but yet you've installed them in a thoughtful way, using techniques from the past and doing it in a way that's really thoughtful, such that when you're all done, you get a house that really has a soul and a life to it, and is missing in so many new homes built in America today. You're such a unique builder, Brent. I really appreciate you giving us a tour today and showing us some of those behind-the-scene things.
Yeah.
I'm going to steal a couple ideas from this house too. I love his CMU stucco idea. That is really solid. And for instance, this face right over here that you're seeing, which is a stucco facade on the front of the house, that's never going to see any cracks. That's a great way to build. You're in effect building a brick front and then stuccoing over it like an old house would have happened.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So.
Guys, follow Brent's work over on BuildShowNetwork.com. He's got more videos.
Need a brake job on that.
Man, the Mini Cooper's in bad shape. Let's follow Brent's work over at BuildShowNetwork.com. He actually has several great videos from this house and some other gorgeous new houses and old houses he's working on. So BuildShowNetwork.com for more from Brent. And if you're not currently a subscriber, hit that subscribe button below. We've got new build shows here on YouTube every Tuesday and every Friday. Follow us on Twitter and Instagram. Otherwise, we'll see you next time on The Build Show.